Oh, baby! What's up, everybody? This is now the second edition of the Boss Number 2 Fantasy Football League podcast for 2015. And before we get right into it, there's a couple things I want to mention. For weeks 3 to 4 was a tale of two different stories. You had week 3, which honestly, in the life of fantasy, was probably the most explosive fantasy week I think of all time. Usually it's always like one or two teams that hit into like 140 or 150. I'm pretty sure there was about four teams that passed the 130 mark at least. I think the lowest amount of points scored, with the exception of I think Andre and Rob Messia, I think was like 119, which was the lowest, and then everything else was like beyond that. So more than half the league had like a solid week 3. So it was really cool to see that. Week 4 on the other hand though, oh man, what the hell happened? I mean, everybody just didn't show up. It was like an off week for everybody. I understand buys had some influence on some teams, but unless you were Paul that week putting up 140, I mean, shit, like it was who knows. I mean, this is a very inconsistent fantasy season. We are now heading into week 5, and still there's not a team that stands out and says, oh, that's a championship team. The power rankings might disagree with that, and somebody might say something, but hey, we'll just leave that until the season to decide itself. So as of right now, I did 1 through 12. Um, Looking at it, I would say numbers 9 through 12 are definitely on the hot seat. They are in a lot of trouble, and three teams more than one, in my personal opinion. Then you have a big mix up, I'd say, between, honestly, I think 1 through 8. And I'm being really honest with you guys. I think this is anybody's league. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people do better, and the rankings this week basically focus on what have you done for me lately. I know there's not a lot of trendy topics, like for example, let's see. Johnny started out like really hot the first 2 weeks, but kind of cooled off since then. But let's see if that affects him into my rankings for one. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But anyways, let's get on into it. Number 12, Rob Messi. I'm not going to go in depth with this at all because there's really no need to. And I do have a video this week, as you guys can see. So without further ado, here's number 11. Andre Jones finally got his first win. He is on a 1-game winning streak, and what's even more impressive is that he has hit over 100 points. So, Andre, a round of applause for you, my friend, with a whopping 354 points total on the season. Wow. I mean, you talk about off fucking years. I'm right there with you, though, so, like, I shouldn't be really saying shit. But, man, holy crap. I mean, this is a guy who made 2 playoff appearances last season, looked like he was breaking out, went to the semifinal matchup, and boy, oh boy, man, it is not looking good for this team. Let's get into the evaluations right now. I mean, injuries aren't even the story with this team, man. It was just bust after bust after bust. It hurts. I understand. Eddie Lacy, let's get down to it. I don't think he's that bad. I think he'll honestly turn it around. It's honestly, if Green Bay gets into the goal line, I will say this though, on first down, he's got to punch it in on first down, because if it's second down, you know damn well Aaron Rodgers is going to take the glory, going to either roll out for the TD or find James Jones in the corner of the end zone. And even Richard Rodgers actually is looking like a really good red zone threat for that Packers offense. And if Richard Rodgers can develop into something, I mean, that's even more value for Aaron, because I kind of like the trend on Richard Rodgers right now. Jimmy Graham was a bust. I really didn't like that pick at all. I don't think he fits in the Seattle style of offense, because Russell Wilson is a guy who stares down the first receiver, and then when it's not there, he looks for lanes to move around. So I would say there are play calls for Jimmy Graham, but he's just so easy to lock up, and when the first target's not there, that's why you have these speedsters like Tyler Lockett and Jermaine Kearse getting wide open in the field. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen, and it is not looking good right now for Jimmy Graham. And his value, honestly, man, there's at least like 6 tight ends I think I'd take over him right now for this season. And I did say that he was going to have a good game against Chicago and that he probably should have been sold, but no one's probably biting, so I feel you on that. Again, the star of this team right now is Danny Woodhead. So, I mean, I know you're looking to move him. I think you actually contacted me about that as well. Jonathan Stewart, I wrote in the beginning of the season that I hated that pick the most for your team, and it is showing. I think if anybody was chasing the numbers he had in 1 month, you are an idiot. Sorry. Jonathan Stewart just never really sold it for me. I think he's got to be in his 5th or 6th year with the Carolina Panthers, and I just don't see anything special. And he's had favorable matchups, so I think you need to sell him or just honestly just not start him until he shows you something. So that right there would be the evaluation of Andre's team. Number 10. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am at number 10. Bad fucking year, man. There is really no excuse for it. Nothing. I have nothing to say. But let me evaluate the team right quick. I like the quarterback play a lot. I think Phillip Rivers at home he's money at home. He always has been, except against New England. That's the only team he's not good against at home. Marcus Mariota, I did predict him to be the best rookie quarterback, and that's honestly yes, but by default because Jameis Winston is pure ass. But Marcus Mariota, the thing that is most impressive, forget the fact that he has 20 points at least every week that he's played. He's not even running. He's actually developing into this pocket quarterback that Whisenhunt wants him to be. And I don't like Ken Whisenhunt that much as a head coach, but he's showing a lot of poise, and when he senses the pressure, he still looks very calm in the pocket. And for a young quarterback to be calm in the pocket in tight situations like that, really, really good. I think both of them are going to be both. I'd say Mariota on the high QBN side and Phillip Rivers kind of on the medium because on the road and home splits. Odell Beckham to me is still a stud. He's had 2 bad games, but the targets are there. There's no need to panic with that. The song that is actually playing in the background, if it didn't get copyrighted, I know that might be an issue, so I might have to redo this video, is Return of the Mac, and that's Jeremy Maclin. I showed patience with him the first 2 weeks when we did this, and he only had a combined 14 points. The next 2 weeks, he's got 44. Jeremy Maclin is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. And even with Alex Smith, his route running ability and the fact that Kansas City's defense makes them play from behind, you can't focus on Jamal Charles the whole game. Andy Reid is going back to his trusted guy from Philly. I'm loving Jeremy Maclin. He is officially back on the wide receiver 2 map. But then here's where the bad shit comes into play. DeMarco Murray, I'm really praying that this is the week that you actually do something. He goes out and says he wants the ball more. It is the front office versus Chip Kelly. And Chip Kelly right now is on the hot seat right now, so you can't play your cards the way you want to right now, Chip, or else your job is going to be gone. I actually think DeMarco Murray has the breakout game this week, and if he does not, then that's bad. I don't know what else to say, but he is looking like a bust in the first round. The Andre Johnson pick I will never get over because there were 2 opportunities I had to say no to this guy, and I said yes. So that was drafting him over Keenan Allen and Andre Ellington, although one of them wouldn't work out. But it's better than what he's done so far this season. And trading Latavius Murray, getting Latavius Murray and giving away Amari Cooper. Unfortunately, it backfired, and you got to live with the decision. Guys who I think on my team right now that are somewhat trending up, Leonard Hankerson. He's really not the most consistent receiver because he does not have the best hands. But when you look at Hankerson, this is a guy who's 6'2". He's got really lanky arms. And in Washington, he was treated as a situational deep threat, a guy who gets screens. Now in Atlanta, he is now working, moving the chains, and he's getting a lot of red zone targets, which is just unbelievable. So the opportunities are there for him to be at least a flex, so why not? But other than that, Matt Jones from week 2 looked like he was going to be the guy. Doesn't do anything the next 2 weeks, although I still have faith in Matt Jones, but I'm going to have to be very patient if I want him on my team still. And Travis Kelce, I don't think there's much to complain about that. And the last guy I want to mention right quick is Latavius Murray. This guy is going to be fine. They expressed it. They want to feed him. It was just such a letdown for him to go against the Bears and not do anything. And by the way, sit down and eat something because this is probably going to be 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? Anyway, Number 9 goes to Brian Bonney. Now, me personally, I would put myself ahead of Brian, but the reason I didn't was because the difference between the two teams right now, I am on a 3-game losing streak, and he came off a win where he put up over 150. You have to play the respect card there. Not to mention the fact, though, that if it wasn't for the CJ Spiller catch, Brian probably could be looking at a 2-2 record right now. However, the downside, Lance Dunbar actually was looking like the Danny Woodhead from like 2 years ago, as in like a guy you could have as a flex, but if you were really desperate, just plug him in as your RB2. So the Dunbar loss really hurts, especially when he's fighting off injuries with Alshon Jeffrey and Mike Evans right now. So he's in a really bad spot. It's going to be tough to get out of this one. Jamal Charles is still a freaking stud. I mean, he's looking like the number 1 pick yet again. It's like you don't want to rank him number 1. Nobody wants to take him 1, but like this guy, time and time again, he's just an absolute monster. Joseph Randle. This is the difference when we talked about week 3 to week 4. Randle comes out week 3 and looks like, oh my god, a Joseph Randle 3-touchdown game. I was kind of the only one who expressed a little bit of patience. Randle might get the opportunities, but I think it's only a matter of time until this becomes a really bad RBBBBBC. Who knows? Like, it could be like 4 running backs in this offense. Dallas, especially because they don't have Romo, they don't have the utmost confidence in Joseph Randle to carry the load. There's rumors going around that Darren McFadden's going to get more carries, but hey, who knows? But after a lot of fantasy experts ranked Joseph Randle really freaking high, he just came crashing down and couldn't live up to the expectation. But, you know, Brian is in a really deep hole right now. Carson Palmer looks fine. Andy Dalton looks really good if you find him at home or at the right matchup. Pierre Garçon is probably just going to be a flex at best. I mean, he's had some decent games, but nothing that goes over the top like 2 years ago on my championship roster. And I think it also has to do with Kirk Cousins and the fact that he has nobody else around him. And the offense has definitely changed. So that's Brian. Number 8, it really pains me to put this